Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 231 of Your Take Two podcast. And this is the show that's pumped. We have so much stuff to talk about this weekend. It's been a busy weekend. We were watching the Grammys last night. We were watching the bracket get announced. We had Oscar nominations this morning. I mean, everything has been happening the last couple of days. So this is going to be a huge show. Not to mention, we have 5 other reviews to give you along the way of some new release movies, as well as some kind of couple months old-ish movies that we were just catching up on. So just a lot of stuff to talk about today, so much so that we actually canceled some of our regular segments just to make room. So
Yeah,
we hope you enjoy this jam-packed episode today. Brian, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man, and I'm happy that we're still here. I know that Madison LaCroix, she tried to come between us, but we're gonna work through it, pal. We can
Oh,
make it through. Nothing can break you and I up, just like A-Rod and J-Lo. They're gonna endure, and you and I are gonna endure. We can make it.
insane, right? Insane. I was like, oh, another one bites the dust
I
between
actually
them and
like them as a couple, though. I actually think they,
yeah.
yeah, well, good for them. Okay, like you just said, 5 big reviews today, a gigantic Oscar breakdown that will be later on during the second segment of our show. Sometimes we put these award season stuff like we filter it into the Hollywood news section as its own little chunk. We're going to be so big today that it gets its own section inside of our second segment just after the casting. So stick around for that. Our normal Hollywood news, DC and Marvel, kind of light this week, but we'll still go over that for you. What you can do right now also is sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com, as low as $1 a month. Folks, our Patreon went from we made it. We got you some episodes out as promised. Every other week we get them out to now we have like too much that we're going to be dropping. That's not going to stop us. We still got a lot to record and we're going to drop it on you. But good for you. As low as $1 a month, you're getting a ton of stuff, including stuff coming out this week.
Tons of episodes planned. I was just looking at the calendar today. All the way into July is already kind of planned out, and we'll be recording all that stuff pretty soon, and it'll be hitting your ear hole soon.
I would like to welcome a new patron and welcome back a patron that we announced last week that we lost, but that was just a little financial credit card. I got a new card thing, which has happened to us
Well,
now
that's
three.
good.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
actually
I
the third
thought
time that's
someone.
happened, like where we've had a patron that's like, oh, I got a new card and I forgot to put the thing, which totally happens to everybody. And so, welcome, Gerald. What'd you call him? Not G Baby, but G Banger. G Banger. Welcome, Gerald. And Chris, Vaughn, Kevin, Lisa, Kat, Roy, Craig, and Ryan. Thank you all for being our patrons. The only other thing we ask you patrons to do is just tell your friends. Guys, jump on there. As low as $1 a month. There's a spotlight available in your feeds right now for everyone to endure. That is on Anthony Hopkins. Check that out. His name we heard a little bit in the award season stuff, but then maybe not as much as we thought. Yes, no, we shall see. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but you can hear us break down his entire life and his career right now.
Yeah, and we already have another one in the can ready to hit you next week. So yeah, don't think we're stopping anytime soon. And that one actually is kind of like a little surprise, like first thing where we actually did some video with that one. We've never done video with the spotlight. So if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you see us right now. This episode's on YouTube. We've been trying to get almost every weekly episode on YouTube now, as well as branching out into spotlights and even maybe Patreon. You guys might be getting some video content. So we're trying to evolve as the show continues to grow.
I got my spotlight. I got my spot. That's my hints for the next spotlight. The next one
Okay.
coming up. That's it. That's it. All right, man. If you're ready to rock, I'm ready to rock. We might as well just jump into this absolutely loaded show and start things off as we do with those poll results.
Yeah, the poll results this week. I was trying to kind of piggyback off of Women's History Month as well as the Oscar nominations coming forward, and I looked at Oscar-winning actresses. Which Oscar? There's actually quite a few Oscar-winning actresses, but I looked at how many of them had more than two or more,
Uh,
wins. There actually are quite a few that had two. I didn't realize there were so many that had two, but then there were only three that had more than that. So
uh-huh.
Katharine Hepburn, Meryl Streep, and Ingrid Bergman were those couple that had more than three awards to themselves. So I added them to the list, and then I put Frances McDormand because I was like, she could possibly join that elite group this year. If she won
Sure.
Best Actress, she would propel herself into that elite group of only 4 actresses. So I just said, which one has your, best filmography of those actresses? And I guess no surprise, Meryl Streep wins, probably just because everybody knows her work. She has so much work out there. Probably the most well-known, most current, most accessible to everybody. Surprising to me, though, was Katharine Hepburn came in second, which I was a
Ooh,
little
really?
surprised. I was going a little too like old school, a little too nichey maybe with some of those picks, and I didn't know if people would jump on them. But Katharine Hepburn came in second place, 34% of the vote, and then third place was Frances McDee, and Ingrid Bergman came in last, sadly, with only 9%. I guess enough people haven't watched the old school, black and white films kind of stuff that she was in, but I'm a fan personally. So a couple other shout outs we had. Paul on Twitter, he shouted out Katharine Hepburn, said that was his favorite. Cinetastic Reviews went with Meryl Streep over on our Instagram. And then Katz said that Frances McDormand is underrated, which, I mean, winning 2 Oscars, I don't know if you could say she's underrated, but I guess maybe enough people don't know her. She's not in enough projects that are like huge hits and that well known, maybe. Maybe that's what he means. But
True. Yeah.
so a little surprising, but yeah, I kind of wanted to throw out the Oscar Women's History thing. I do have something else planned, not this week's poll, but the following week's poll that's also going to be in that same kind of vein. So check back with that.
If you don't know enough about Franny McD, maybe you should go back and check that Spotlight feed because I think I know a show that did an entire episode devoted to her. She is one of those women that she just looks like I want to party with. Like she looks like she'd just be fun to like go to the pub and just hang out, throw back a couple shots. I think she's a tequila drinker, which no thank you on my end there. But I don't know.
It's in a buck. I mean, she's got to be fun.
This is valid. This is valid. We will be talking about her a little bit later in this episode, but before that, we got to get to our movie reviews, and we're going to lead things off with Cherry.
Yeah, and I actually, spoiler alert, I watched about half of this.
Oh,
I know
okay.
we went into today knowing, hey, you watched a couple, I watched a couple, we watched one together. This one I kind of started and got about halfway, but it was too late. I had to go to bed. I just kind of gave up on it. So I am excited to hear your full thoughts, and I'll chime in a little bit on my limited view of it.
I remember when we talked about this casting, the Russo brothers getting back together with Tom Holland, and they're doing something together, and I was very excited for it. And you know, I've been anxious and have said here, I want to see what Holland does outside of Spider-Man because I think he's on the path of taking over as possible, you know, King of Hollywood type status. He's just that popular at such a young age, and he's been giving us these these non-Spider-Man things that now I want to see. We're going to talk about 2 big ones today, with this one and then Chaos Walking later. Sierra Bravo is his co-star in this. This movie is all over the place. And then it tells you that we're going to break this into segments. And it even gives you prologue, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 94. It keeps going, man. And it is a lengthy 2 hours and 22 minutes. The time does feel like 2+ hour long film. About 20 minutes into this movie, I looked to the wife and I was like, if I turn this off right now, would you be angry? And she was like, not really. Let's kind of endure. And I'm glad she said that because as the movie kind of goes on, kind of after we get outside of him going to war, then I'm intrigued. I'm interested. I was curious as to what was now going to play out. These are characters that I guess I kept looking for redemption as it went on, but it's like these are just some bad characters. And this is the story about just people who make bad decisions and just stick with. I feel a lot of people must have a movie where you have to have a redemption arc or at the end everything's happy-go-lucky. We've had quite a few films recently where that doesn't happen. A bad person is just a bad person, or you make bad decisions and therefore you deal with it type deal. So that plays out. This shows his PTSD. This does a pretty good job of showing PTSD, how different people deal with PTSD. Obviously suicide, obviously booze, obviously drugs. His character goes the drug route. And then the wife jumps on board with him. The crazy part to me, I totally thought they were going to do the tropey thing where the wife was like, oh, I'm leaving you. Nah, she jumped on board. She was like, I like getting high too. That was the crazy part.
That's what he actually was right around then when like she jumped on, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't kind of see that coming.
Sure.
But yeah, so I am intrigued to see the last half, how that, and then leads to his like bank robbing. You know, they kind of showed us that at the beginning, but then they're going to obviously bring it back at the end, I'm sure, and see a little bit more of that.
Okay, so to your point right there, I felt this could have been a series too. You could have done, meeting the girl in college, and then, why does he leave to join the army? And then the whole army section, that's a whole nother segment. Then after there's PTSD, and then you could almost do 2 segments there. Like when he gets back with PTSD, why is he robbing banks? So you're spot on. The whole reason I wanted to watch this, the whole start of my review, Holland. I think he's great, man. I think he keeps establishing himself as a good actor, and we're going to keep seeing things like this. This is a hard rated R, tons of profanity and violence and whatnot. So it is projecting him in the path that I still think this guy's going.
Sure. Yeah, I was impressed. I thought he was good. I'm actually surprised he didn't get more credit for it. I guess maybe just because it seems like the reviews have been somewhat negative and just like, oh, this is a mess of a movie, blah, blah, blah. So people are kind of writing it off. But Holland himself is worth checking this movie out, at least so far that I've seen. And to your point, the Russos, they didn't shy away from the violence, like the war stuff. The guys got the guts hanging out. They show the bodies charred, like all this kind of stuff. It was like, oh, yeah, they're going for it. And I don't know how much I loved what they did go for, though. I felt like they were trying too hard to, like, have all these little extra flourishes in the film, and like, oh, we're doing these overhead shots, and we're doing changes in the color, and all these things, and it's like they were almost trying to show off a little bit for me, and that was
Sure.
somewhat distracting in some parts. I thought took away from it, but
Sure.
we'll see. Like I said, I haven't finished the whole thing. Did you pick up on Shaky Kid though? There was a cameo by Shaky Kid.
No.
Sells Tom Holland drugs in the one scene.
Okay.
That's actually brother Harry Holland.
Oh.
And they said that he now plans on bringing him back into every movie he does to play that same role. So they said he's already going to be in the next Spider-Man movie as like Shaky Kid.
All right. Good for Tom.
I don't know if it was a joke or not, but that was something I read with Tom Holland. So.
Nice. Good for him. Yeah, I mean, if you're curious about Holland's performance and his abilities outside of Spider-Man, I recommend seeing this film. Just be prepared because it is a bit over the place, and that 220 feels like 220.
And for the Russos too, because I think most people only know Russos from the Marvel stuff. So it's like, what can they do besides this? And I think, yeah, they were trying to show off a little bit, but I think it was still pretty decent. A little bit of a mess, but it showed promise. Like I'd be willing to see another movie from them just based on their name alone.
And Sierra Bravo, she does a solid job. She's par for,
I wasn't. Or has she been in other stuff? I didn't.
My issue with her is she looked like she was 17 throughout the whole film. Like,
yeah, that's true.
Even at the end, I was like, oh, you can't do anything. She just has that super young face. And, a Holland aged 15 years, so she kind of should have too, but you can easily do that with his haircut. Her, She just looks young, but that's not an acting issue.
Sure.
She looks young. Oh, darn. I'm sure she's upset. Okay, let's move along from Cherry. We'll be back to talk more Tom Holland later, but now let's get on to something that only you got to see, but I still want to see, so I'm a wee bit jealous.
Yeah, and I would recommend you checking this out. This will actually be on Prime, apparently, in April. So,
good.
A few short weeks, you might be able to check it out on Prime. That's what I thought I read somewhere. But this is the Mauritanian, and I was kind of wanting to check this out just because of the buzz around it, and it got some nominations and some Golden Globes, stuff like that, whatever. So I was like, okay, if it's an awardsy movie, I want to check it out. This is a story of post 9/11 Guantanamo Bay and the detainees that were taken there. And this guy gets arrested. He gets held there for 14 years in Guantanamo Bay. Never had charges placed against him even, and was just there for 14 years. And
wow.
They were trying to make this case against him that he was like one of the masterminds of 9/11, and did they have the right guy or not, and will that stick? That's where the movie goes and tries to make you kind of figure out for yourself which side you fall on. Do you believe him? Do you believe the government? Whatever. Performances are top notch here. Jodie Foster's back. She's always good. I feel like she's always good. Anything we see her in, she's good. It's good to see her back. I was a little surprised she didn't get the nomination this morning. I was kind of thinking I would see her name show up, especially since she won a Globe for this movie. So I was a little surprised she didn't get that, as well as Tahar Rahim. I think he was worth the price of admission. He's so good in this movie, and I'm surprised he didn't get nominated this morning. Actually, quite surprised, because his performance alone is worth checking this movie out. I thought he was great. Benedict Cumberbatch is also in here, pulling off a southern accent like I've never seen, which I was like, what is going on? At first it's like, that's a choice, okay, but it actually worked for me. I've heard other people negative on it. It worked for me. I was like, okay, I'm in. I thought he did a decent job selling his part. Shailene Woodley, not a huge fan of her. She's in here, but she's kind of just like an afterthought and not really even used that well in the movie. So I'm like, I wonder if she was needed. Like, I wish it just wasn't part of the film to begin with, to be honest. And then also Zachary Levi shows up for a couple scenes. So pretty decent cast, pretty decent movie. My biggest problem with it, I guess, is I was a little bored through some of it just because I feel like it's kind of a story we've already heard before. I feel like there's already been movies that have explored the same kind of thing, and it's a political, military, legal thriller. It's something like A Few Good Men, in that same vein, something like that. But then you don't really get to the courtroom stuff because he never had the charges, you know what I mean? So a lot of it is just in Guantanamo and him meeting with his lawyers, and then Benedict Cumberbatch is supposed to be on the other side. So you see him kind of building his case as the prosecution. So it's more just about building the cases, but you never get that courtroom drama aspect of it.
Sure.
There's a pretty lengthy bit of like torture sequence right in the middle of the movie with him. And I thought that was well done, and he sold it, and it was well done as far as filmmaking from director Kevin MacDonald, who he did State of Play and Last King of Scotland. So those are some decent films on his filmography. It's based on a real story. This guy wrote this book. This was his story, and it's crazy to think that something like this can happen. You can be taken away and put in a place for 14 years and never actually charged with a crime, and just held and tortured, and it should infuriate you and get that out of you. But for me, I feel like it fell off a little bit. It didn't quite get there. It didn't make me emotional. It didn't really sell me that hard on his story. Probably just because, like I said, I've seen it before. I've seen, Taxi to the Dark Side or Road to Guantanamo. These are other movies I've already seen that talk about or a dramatization. Either way, I feel like I've already seen it. So maybe, or even what was the one we just watched last year with Adam Driver, The Report or whatever. Like, there's already
Oh yeah,
been
yeah.
a lot of movies that deal with this subject, so I almost feel like it's a little late. Like maybe if this would have been made a few years ago, it might have been more timely and got more people involved. But overall, good performances, decent film. Wait and watch it on Prime. I wouldn't pay to rent it or go see it in theater, that kind of thing. But
Okay.
yeah, and I look forward to hearing what you think about Tahar Rahim because I would say he's kind of a snub, and I don't know.
Sure, sure. Okay, I look forward to watching it.
Cool.
Okay, you and I got to watch something together. We didn't actually watch it at the same time together, but a movie that
This one in particular, if we did watch together, would be kind of funny.
that would be funny. Yeah, actually. Supernova. And this one was on our radar for a while, just knowing both these actors are good. We even did a spotlight on Stanley Tucci, kind of based on this film's release. And I think originally, early on, I was thinking this was going to get a lot more love. And
Yeah.
then it didn't. And we just didn't hear its name at all. And I was kind of wondering why. And now maybe we know why, but
Well, I think, overall the movie's a little slow and it's
sure.
it's enjoyable, good performances, but it's very subtle and subdued performances, I think, from both actors. They're good actors. They sell the chemistry, they sell the emotionality, the love between these guys. And maybe that's just because they're best friends in real life as well, and they can kind of sell that. But I think that's why it didn't go up that notch, is nobody really went for it or never had those big. There was like one scene maybe where Colin Firth kind of blows up a little bit and sells, but Tucci was just very stoic and the same kind of throughout. And you really didn't even get that many scenes of him kind of losing his mind. He's going through dementia,
Yeah.
things like that. You only had a couple instances of that where they really showed it to you, and it wasn't that really big yet. So I think that's why. I think this movie just kind of like had a good premise, but didn't quite go as far as maybe you thought it was going to go.
Right.
And obviously, we're talking about the movie. If you don't know about Supernova, it is these two men they've been partners for 20 years. They're going on a road trip because Stanley Tucci's character has dementia. He's going to die. They're kind of just going about their last days together, if you will, and trying to see some family and things like that, and get prepared for the worst to come. And I thought there might be more kind of flashbacky stuff. I'm not usually the biggest fan of that, but maybe some of that could have helped sell
Mm-hmm.
their or whatever going forward and like establishing the fact that maybe he's losing it a little bit. Maybe if we'd seen a little bit more of that, that would have worked. I don't know. There was something about it that just was off, and it was kind of boring, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, I thought everything they did was good, but I agree with you. They're talking about suicide in the one scene, and it's getting a bit dramatic. And I started to feel myself get emotional. They're talking about accepting suicide of your partner, and I'm thinking, okay, you're accepting the loss of your partner, and then the scene just kind of ends. Like, so I felt that was for the whole movie. Like, it kind of got there, and then just kind of, went into cruise, I guess, and didn't finish off the scene. But you're right. The one scene, he's like, what's a triangle? I can't think of the word triangle. And then we find out that he stopped writing because he can't put the words together exactly properly. But we didn't really dive deep into that. And maybe that's what I was expecting. I almost want to continue where it left off, the next step, without giving anything away. If we saw that next scene, maybe it would have hit everything emotionally harder.
Yeah. And that was another thing. The ending, I don't know how you interpreted that, but I don't know if I loved the ending of it either. I was like, okay, all right.
Sure. Yeah.
Without giving anything away, spoilery,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if I love the ending of that, but yeah, it's just like very subtle, subdued stuff. Colin Firth finds his book and he's obviously struggling to write. Okay, or he wandered away with the dog in the one scene. Like that's the kind of stuff, the extent we got. It wasn't ever like high stakes, huge drama kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
It's like we would have that bigger drama, couple scenes maybe from each man, and I really would have liked to see Tucci go there. I didn't feel like he went there at all. Firth
Mhm.
very heavily, but yeah, that was it. So it was just an okay tale, but it could have been better for sure.
All true. All true. All right, let's move along from Supernova and get back onto the old Tom Holland train here. I got to see Chaos Walking. Full disclosure, folks, my daughter is hardcore Tom Holland fan. Like, she's turning a teenager in 2 weeks, and her sights are set on Tom Holland. It is rough goings in my house because she's not putting up posters of Spider-Man in her room, which would make me happy. She's putting up posters of Tom Holland in her room, which, as a dad, I'm like, time out.
Just like jeans and shirtless kind of thing, something like
Yes,
that.
Tony. Yes, that's what the pictures are of.
Nice.
Anyway, this movie we have talked about for a while. You've even talked about how it's gotten pushed and pushed. And listen, if I said Holland, Daisy Ridley, Mads Mikkelsen, they're all in this sci-fi drama together, different world.
Bonus, Cynthia Erivo, right?
Yeah, yeah. Cynthia, very small. I wish she was in it more. There could probably be another one where she's in it. But in the future, folks land on a new planet called New World. When they land on said planet, the men's thoughts are projected. So everyone can see what men are thinking.
So
And they,
the Taraji P. Henson movie?
yeah, kind of. Um, so we find out that all the women have been killed off. The inhabitant race that live there, these aliens, which there's a whole discussion on who is the alien at that point, which I think is a subtle talk about society and who was here first type thing. They killed off all the women, and that's what Tom Holland's character tells us, and what have you. Now, second wave of humans are coming, or Earthlings, I should say, are coming, and that includes Daisy Ridley, and her ship now crashes onto this planet. She's the only survivor, so now she's the only girl. She interacts with Tom Holland. They go for it. They have to get away from now her people because her people need to capture the girl. We can't have a girl here because the girl's thoughts can't be read. That's
Okay.
that's kind of a touch on society. Like you can never read your woman's mind, and then
Mhm.
but she can read all theirs, so we can't let that happen. We can't let them know they're thinking. Now there's some comedy in there, like Tom Holland seeing a girl for the first time, his character, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's a girl. She's so pretty, blonde hair, blonde hair. I'm seeing blonde hair." Like some of that's funny. And it carries the film along, but I don't know. It was like a fun, like kind of idea. It almost felt to me like this would have been a fun idea for like a 35-minute sketch that we're throwing into not necessarily one of our comedy Key and Peele shows, but something where you just want to put like a Black Mirror, something to that, like where this is, like 30, 45 minutes where we just kind of this nuanced thing happens. But the fact that we expanded it out to a 90 plus minute movie, it was kind of like, all right, we got it. Too many of those jokes of Tom Holland's thinking about her in his head. He visualizes picturing, no, kissing her, and then it's not happening because it's just the visualization that we're seeing. Performances. Mads Mikkelsen's fantastic. Daisy Ridley's good. We're seeing little things from her since Star Wars or outside of Star Wars, but I don't think we're seeing the biggest grandiose from her just yet. She kind of plays Rey a little bit. She's stranded, she's running through the forest, she's got a little action sequence in it, so it's not that branched off from Rey. And again, Holland does a good job, and this gives him a little more niche, liking a girl, doing some action, fighting. All right, I've seen all that in Spider-Man. I will tell you this, as soon as we got home from the movie, my daughter had to put her hands directly on the counter, and I got the wooden spoon out because you do see Tom Holland without his pants on from
Uh
it. Yep,
oh.
see the old Holland's caboose. I was like, that's it, spanking time. So it's okay. If you can watch it for free, maybe just give it a whirl. It's got some fun little niche nuances. And then it was thought, her and I talked afterwards, like that would be wild. What would happen if you could see everything that Daddy was thinking right now, but I couldn't know what you were thinking? That would be crazy. And then she even said back to me, she was like, I don't think I want to know what you're thinking all the time. I was like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I'm just looking at. I'm more fascinated by the history of this movie than anything. Like, $100 million budget. It only made 12, not even at the box office, and that includes reshoots because it was originally filmed in 2017, was supposed to release in 2019, got pushed, got some reshoots because of bad test audience. So they spent another 15 million on reshoots to try and fix it, and that still didn't, kind of get it there. So it's sitting at a 21% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, the cast alone, I honestly think even with the cast alone and the bad reviews, all that aside, I might still check this out.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming this is dead in the water though, because it's based on a trilogy. So
Oh,
were they setting it up to do more? Because there's 3 books in the series.
yes, they're setting it up. I'm not really giving you spoilers because there's a lot of extra characters that then we throw in. Like that's where I'm saying the 45-minuteness of it would have been great. Once you
Yeah,
get to the hour and a half, it's like, oh, there's all this other, and
yeah. I'm
that's I
looking
think where a lot of people
at
get lost.
Demian Bashir, Nick Jonas, like what the hell?
Sure.
So yeah, this easily could have went on and probably been a good series, but you see that sometimes, and this again almost seems like a movie that came too late because that YA stuff I think has already kind of crested and fallen with like Hunger Games, Harry Potter, those Twilight, and then anything after those 3 kind of fell off. I feel
Sure.
like.
Sure.
So, and it's a shame though because I like Doug Liman as a director. I think he did some decent stuff, Edge of Tomorrow, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Swingers, things like that, but. We'll see. I still may check this out down the road just because I'm mildly
You've
interested.
watched worse, I'll tell you that. You've seen worse.
Yeah, of course. But just with the people involved, I'm more moderately excited to check it out. We'll see.
Take us home, buddy. Take us home with Land.
Okay, I'm gonna take you to the land. I'm actually glad you didn't watch this one. This is similar to Supernova. It's boring a little bit to me, a little slow. This is the directorial debut and starring effort of Robin Wright. And she is a woman who experiences some sort of trauma, some sort of loss. They don't really tell you what it is until the end of the film. And she decides she's going to go off and live in nature by herself. And you see her loading up this U-Haul with supplies, and she goes off into this cabin in the middle of nowhere, and she's going to live there and throws her phone away, and she's just going to do this thing, right? She then also develops a friendship with a man who she meets in the woods, played by Demian Bashir, so another movie with him. Who knew it was going to be the Tom Holland Demian Bashir episode? But yeah, so they create a new friendship. He kind of helps her learn to survive, and also at the same time maybe making her like reinvigorated to live life again, kind of thing. And they bond over shared loss. He also has a shared loss that he talks about, and they kind of really get to that at the end of the movie, kind of like the last scene where they kind of both come clear about what their loss was or whatever. And the movie overall is just dealing with grief, at the end of the day. It's beautifully shot, and she does a good job with it. The first part of it, though, like the first 30 minutes, I was like so angry because I was like, you have no clue what you're doing. You're a dumbass. Like, don't just give up everything and go to live in the woods and you don't know what the hell you're doing. Like, you're going to die. Like, it's off like she has a death wish to some extent, you know what I mean, because of the loss that she's suffered. So then Demian Bashir comes into the scene. He kind of helps and steers her back to wanting to live again. Like I said, this was a Sundance premiere recently. Kim Dickens is also in here. She plays Robin Wright's sister in the film. Not really that involved. Couple scenes, but she's good. I always like when she shows up, so just wanted to mention her. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, it was just too melodramatic to me. I guess that's what it is. A little boring and just melodrama. And I was like, okay. It was fine. And like I said, well made. It looked beautiful, shot in the woods in Canada, whatever, and decent performances. But I was just like, whatever. It's kind of sappy and melodramatic for me. So it's. I think most people would probably be like, no, I'm not going to check that out. So.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. 5 not bad reviews for you guys. Like, they're all kind of on par with each other. But either way, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
All right. We had some really big nominations come out. Are you excited? Are you ready to talk about these?
Huge weekend of noms.
The whole world is itching at the bottom to hear about these, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Razzies. The Razzies came out, the nominations for the Razzies. Let me pull up the list here. I had it on my phone here. Pardon me for those watching. It's not great to just watch me read things off the phone, but the leader in the Razzie nominations was that 365 Days, the crappy, like, Polish Netflix
Sex movie, right?
50 Shades of Grey looking thing, yeah. So that led in all the nominations. Your worst pictures were 365 Days, Absolute Proof, which was the movie. It was like a documentary made by the My Pillow guy about like the election, I think. So they nominated that as worst picture, as well as the My Pillow guy got a nomination for worst actor as well.
Congrats to him.
The other worst pictures were Doolittle, Fantasy Island, and Music, which I thought was kind of funny because Music was nominated for Best Picture at the Golden
Globe nom. Jeez, that's weird. That original trailer for Fantasy Island, I was like, this looks great.
I kind of would have wanted to watch it, but I heard some friends of the show, things like that, were like, no, it was terrible. So
Sure.
Some other highlights, lowlights, if you will. Worst actor, Robert Downey Jr. for Doolittle, Adam Sandler for Hubie Halloween. Anne Hathaway got a double nomination for herself for Worst Actress in Last Thing He Wanted and The Witches, as well as Katie Holmes got a dual nomination for Brahms, The Boy 2, and The Secret, Dare to Dream. So terrible. Worst Supporting Actress, Glenn Close, who just got an Oscar nomination this morning for the same role. So she got a Razzie and an Oscar nomination
for the same. I kind of want her to win both.
Yes. The surprise for me, though, and I think it's bullshit, actually, is Kristen Wiig for Wonder Woman for best or worst supporting actress.
Oh, I disagree there. I didn't think she was bad in that movie at all.
No, she was good. Let's see. Rudy Giuliani, worst supporting actor for Borat 2. Shia for Tax Collector, I'll agree with that. Bruce Willis for 3 different movies that he was in this year: Breach, Hard Kill, and Survive the Night. All
Jeez.
worst on-screen duo: Maria Bakalova and Rudy Giuliani. Robert Downey Jr. and his accent, that was a worst on-screen combo. Harrison Ford and the totally fake CGI dog from Call of the Wild. Also Adam Sandler and his grating simpleton voice from Hubie Halloween.
I actually agree with that one.
There's some really good kind of funny stuff in here, and I also like they have a category that's worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. So Doolittle, Fantasy Island, Hubie Halloween were in there, and then Wonder Woman 84 got a nomination for that as well. So they really did not like the Wonder Woman over there. So
yeah, big time.
Just kind of fun. Also, while I'm at it, the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards were this week.
Woo.
So their best picture was Wonder Woman 84.
Seriously?
So the kids like the Wonder Woman. And then Millie Bobby Brown actually won favorite female movie star and favorite female TV star. So she's doubling up for the Stranger
Enola and Stranger.
So good for her pulling that off. And then also this week, this was kind of weird. They came out with the BAFTAs. Did you see the BAFTA nominations?
I actually did not. Actually, that's weird. I missed it.
Yeah, so they always come out just before, the Oscars like that. And a lot of times it's like too late for them to really be a predictor of the Oscars, but you want to see if they kind of fall in line. But they always have a couple that are like strictly British, and you're like, where the hell is that movie coming out of the left field, right? So this movie called Rocks was nominated like multiple times. No one had it on any other award show ever until the BAFTAs, and it's nominated for Best Film or whatever. Or no, sorry, they have their own category, Outstanding British Film. Sorry.
Aha. Good.
Rocks was in there, and this is on Netflix, so I think I'm gonna check it out.
Sure.
And give a review. Like I told you, I was thinking about doing like a separate award show catch-up homework review episode.
Okay.
And I think I'll watch Rocks and review it for that. And then there's another one called Calm with Horses. Never heard of either of those movies, but they were all over the BAFTA nominations and got numerous nominations for both of them. But their strict best film was The Father, The Mauritanian, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Trial of Chicago 7. So pretty much, kind of online with what everybody else is doing. Riz Ahmed also got nominated for his own movie that he made called Mogul Mowgli.
Okay.
So that was another kind of surprise there, I guess. Maybe something else to check out. But otherwise, there weren't any other real, surprises or big things in there. The Dig got nominated a few times. I know you watched that. I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah.
Again,
okay.
I think they just prefer British films and kind of, stay towards that route. But yeah, I just wanted to mention those couple quick awardsy things that also happened this week besides the Oscars. And we're going to wait to get to the Oscars till a little bit longer.
So Rocks is not about the Aerosmith album.
No, it is not. No, and the sequel will not be called. No. So.
All right, before we get to the awards easy stuff, let's jump on to our casting couch.
Sure. Casting was kind of busy this week.
Yeah.
First thing I saw was the live-action CW Powerpuff Girls. That happened like right after we stopped recording last week. So Diablo Cody is co-writing the script. I don't know if we ever mentioned that for CW. Mm-hmm. That's cool. Live action Powerpuff Girls. Chloe Bennett, she's playing Blossom. Dove Cameron will be Bubbles, and Yaha Peralt will be Buttercup. Yaha Peralt is new actress. She was on Broadway in Jagged Little Pill, but I don't think she's done anything actually TV or film related yet. But Chloe Bennett and Dove Cameron actually worked together on S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But, Dove Cameron, of course, being also Liv and Maddie in Your House. So
yeah, baby.
I think that's a pretty big casting, though, for a CW project. Because especially there's been rumors about Chloe Bennett staying in the MCU and them bringing her back from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So she's a pretty big name. So I don't know. I wasn't a fan of the Powerpuff Girls or really watched it, so I don't know what to expect. But
this is them older, right? This is them.
Yes, they're supposed to be older, and it's a live-action thing, so... I thought I read somewhere that they're like mad that they wasted their youth like doing this, and now they're kind of like depressed over it, like that they wasted their youth being crime fighters or whatever. I don't know. So,
right. Okay.
We'll see. Maybe it'll be good.
Sure.
Josh Holloway. We love the Josh Holloway from Lost.
We do now, baby. Yeah.
He is reuniting with J.J. Abrams on a show called Duster, which we had talked about before that this was coming to HBO Max. It's set in the 70s in Southwest U.S. and it focuses on a getaway driver. So Josh Holloway will be our man. That's perfect casting. I can see it already. Like just thinking of him, I'm like 70s getaway driver. Yeah, sounds right.
Sure.
Hopefully he calls people Freckles.
That southern accent, Freckles.
Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone are in talks to be in Yorgos Lanthimos' next movie called Poor Things. And I need to pull up the description of this because it sounds very like Frankensteinish. Like I think Willem
Mm-hmm.
Dafoe playing a scientist who's able to bring her back to life, kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I won't pull it up, but that's what it sounds like. It's kind of like,
Okay.
So I love Yorgos Lanthimos. He makes weird ass movies. The Favorite was one of my favorites and that year. So,
Yeah, I was going to say, but she worked well with him in The Favorite, so that's nice. Good.
so I look forward to that. Mission Impossible 7 added some cast members: Carrie Ells, Indira Varma, Rob Delaney, and Mark Gatiss. I like Mark Gatiss from Sherlock. Rob Delaney popped up in a couple things recently with what was it? The Rock, how was it? Hobbs and Shaw, whatever I think. And this is 2 weeks in a row we've mentioned casting with Indira Varma, so that's interesting. I guess she's.
I want Carrie Ellis to tell Tom Cruise, "As you wish."
I think it's weird though. Didn't they already wrap filming? So I'm like, why
I
are you announcing casting now? I don't know, unless they were just keeping it secret that they were there.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, they have CW's PR people.
Yeah, that's weird. All right, Viggo Mortensen, Colin Farrell, and Joel Edgerton are going to be in 13 Lives, and this is directed by Ron Howard, and this is focusing on the 2018 Thailand soccer team that was in the caves. So,
Okay, really?
we'll see if Ron Howard can bounce back from the hillbilly elegy a lot of people were down on, but that's a good cast: Colin Farrell, Viggo, Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, big time. Wow.
Elle Fanning has joined the cast of Francis and the Godfather. This is directed by Barry Levinson. This is about the making of the Godfather. It's basically Mank, but not black and white. And
Okay.
we already knew we had Oscar Isaac, Jake Gyllenhaal, Elizabeth Moss. So this is shaping up to be a pretty good movie. And she's going to be playing Ally McGraw, who was married to Robert Evans, was the head of Paramount at the time. So I guess maybe she won't be a main character, but just on that side of it, like the production side of it, maybe.
Cool.
All right, and I think lastly for me, Claire Foy and Paul Bettany have been cast in Amazon's Very British Scandal, and this is going to be 3 episodes focusing on the Duke and Duchess of Argyll as they went through their divorce, which it's a co-production with BBC. I'm sure that's a more British story, obviously, than we don't really know about, but with the success of things like The Crown, things like that, I'm sure this could be big.
Yeah, I never saw season 1. This is season 2 of their anthology, so I'm sure it's big over there.
Very British Scandal?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't know they did a season 1. Okay.
Nor do I, until I saw this casting thing. I was like, oh, okay. But it's totally different. It's anthology type things. Yeah.
Cool.
The only other things I had outside of here, Ragdoll is a new AMC crime series. They've cast Lucy Hale as their lead. Last week you mentioned God's Favorite Idiot, the Melissa McCarthy and Falcone production they're doing. They add Leslie Bibb to that.
Okay.
Mystery Girl, this is from Dark Horse comic series, is coming to Netflix, and they cast Tiffany Haddish.
Ooh, okay.
I actually don't know anything about that comic series, but. And then the last one I have is 50 Cent is producing Black Mafia Family, which is coming to Stars, and that has that as Soraya, Lala Anthony, and Snoop Dogg.
Okay, Black Mafia Family, huh?
That is it for the casting couch. Now, folks, get ready for a special segment that is going to be an hour and a half long. JK. We won't run over like the actual Oscars do, but we are going to break down everything that was the Oscar nominations.
Can I tell you something first and foremost? We did cover this morning. If you were tuned into our Facebook Live, Brian did a little Facebook Living. I was tweeting on the other side. So we were trying to cover this, and I was mad because I was following Variety's website as well, and it said like updated live. They were not putting it on there. I was like, why are you guys not? I was like refreshing. I was like, your website's up. So screw you. You did not update it as well as I thought you would. After I just recommended their podcast last week.
That is true.
Yeah. Where do you want to start? I have an article here pulled up with the nominees. Do you want to start from the bottom and work up, maybe?
Bottoms up. But yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Okay, so I mean, best short live action. I haven't seen any of them. Do we even want to cover that? No. Best short animated. I've seen 2 of them actually, so I can kind of quickly comment on them. Burrow is a Disney one. It's available on Disney Plus. Check it out now. It's fine. It's just whatever. But I will recommend everyone seek out If Anything Happens, I Love You. It's on Netflix. It's 12 minutes long, and it made me cry like out loud, sobbing tears in 12 minutes. That to me should be the winner. I haven't seen the other ones, but just what that film was able to do, I'm all in on that. So,
Oh my.
best documentary short subject. I have seen two of these, but I don't know. We don't need to really go over those. Like I said, maybe I'll talk about those in my little review episode.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Visual effects. Love and Monsters
I
got the
love it.
surprise nomination. I was like, yes, that's awesome. That's a good surprise. I didn't see that coming.
No.
Midnight Sky. I think that's well deserved. I thought it looked good, and they balanced that cold environment and the space stuff. Like they did a lot there, so that's good.
Yeah, what I was thinking when it came out, I was thinking if we wrote these all down, I don't think that would have came across my radar. But when they said it, I was like, you know what? That makes sense because they had some good visuals of space. They did the spacewalk and all that, and then as you just mentioned, the cold as well. So that works.
And I mean, the only one that really popped in mind when I thought about it was Tenet, and then that was the first thing I was like, oh, Tenet will be. This is where they'll get their Oscar nom. So they did. Mulan. Okay, I know that movie was kind of universally like panned or medium. And then One and Only Ivan. I still never watched that movie, so I was kind of surprised that that came up. That's available on Disney Plus, so if you want to catch up on that.
I did. I reviewed it for our show.
What's that?
I did. I reviewed it for our show.
Well, I'm just saying for people listening.
It's easy. Yeah, it's. I mean, the movie's not great, but I mean, they have the animals and the talking and the interacting with the humans. So
It looks that good to warrant this?
I guess. I'm sure we could find better, but either way.
Well, I was going to say there was a documentary that I thought was going to get nominated, and they were actually on the short list for visual effects as well. So I was surprised that they didn't get either nomination. They were on the short list for two categories and didn't get nominated for either, so I was kind of surprised. But I'll talk about that in my other episode. Best Sound, Greyhound. That's their one nomination I got. That was kind of surprising to me. I didn't think we'd see that movie show up.
Right, left, rudder.
Mank, okay. Mank led the day with 10 nominations, so of course it's going to get in things like this. And they did a good job of that. They went to great detail of like, we got to make it sound like the old film. Like they went great lengths to do that and capture sound through certain equipment that was used back in the day and all that. New World actually had a couple nominations.
Yeah.
Soul and Sound of Metal, of course. If Sound of Metal wasn't there, I was going to riot.
Yeah.
Then Best Production Design, Tenet. News of the World again. Mank. Mank should, I think, win this. That's, again, the attention to detail in that movie. Although Ma Rainey's Black Bottom also had a pretty good production design, setting that time period. Father, which we still have not seen. Hopefully we can see The Father soon. That's kind of the only real Oscar-y movie left that we haven't covered for the show. So we do need to get The Father in at some point and review that. Best Original Song, Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. I think that's her song. So she won a Grammy last night and then woke up this morning to get an Oscar nomination. What a life for her. And she just did the Super Bowl. Like, can your life get any better? Like,
yeah.
That's insane. Hear My Voice from Trial of Chicago 7. Husavik from Eurovision. Yes, I'm so pumped. Diane Warren got nominated for Life Ahead. She still has not won an Oscar. She's been nominated like 20 times. So we'll see. She won a Golden Globe. We'll see if she can win for that song. Still haven't watched that movie either. And then Speak Now from One Night in Miami, which gets Leslie Odom a nomination. He had 2 nominations on the day, so good for him. Yeah. You got any favorites in that category?
Getting close to that EGOT. Leslie's knocking on the door there for sure. I think Fight for You is my favorite there. As much fun it will be to see Eurovision performed, hopefully, on stage. If they do that, we have news about actually how the Oscars are being done later on. But I think I'm rooting for Fight for You.
It would be cool to see her. Like I said, what a year. So to get a Grammy and all that, because I did, sidebar, I watched the Grammys last night, at least some of it. They did a pretty good job. It was like an outdoor hybrid live event. Did you watch any of it?
I was watching Nomadland, so I missed it. But from the Twitters, it said they did a great job, and the pressure's on the Oscars now because of it.
Yeah, I mean, compared to what the Globes just did, which was totally virtual, and they did an okay job of what they did, but this was actually pretty well done because they had a separate area set up in the Staples Center where they were doing performances, and all the performances were separated enough and given distance and whatever. So they did that, and then each award they were doing in an outside like tent environment with Trevor Noah hosting live, and they had so many people allowed in there at the time. They were just bringing in the nominees per award and having them like sit at their tables, and then in between the award they were doing like a live performance to kind of give them time to filter everybody in and out. So that was kind of cool the way they did it, and it made it work. And it was actually like a live, off the cuff kind of environment, which was good. So
cool.
Felt semi-normal almost. So we'll see. Hopefully the Oscars can do something like that. Back to the nominees at the Oscars, though. Best Original Score, To Five Bloods, Terrence Blanchard, I Love You, Man. You're the only nominee for that movie. That pisses me off, but at least they got recognized for something.
Sure.
Uh, as well as Mank, Minari, News of the World, and Soul, which that's a double nominee there for Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, in the same
Mm-hmm.
category, two nominations.
Going
So
against themselves,
they'll probably win for Soul, I'm guessing,
assuming. Yeah.
which would be cool because then John Baptiste is also included in that. So
Aha.
makeup and hairstyling: Emma, Hillbilly Elegy, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, and Pinocchio. Pinocchio actually showed up a couple times, so that was a little bit of a surprise there.
Mm-hmm.
I probably give that to Ma Rainey though. I was impressed with what they did with Viola.
I agree. Like I said when we gave our review for the first few minutes, I didn't realize it was Viola.
Yeah, that or honestly, Hillbilly Elegy did a good job with Glenn Close too. So
Well, and if you stay through the credits and you see what the people actually look like in real life, they look exactly. But her and Amy Adams look just like the actual people, so I can see that.
yeah. All right, editing. I was surprised on editing. Let me give you the nominees: The Father, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, Trial of Chicago 7. I was a little surprised Mank didn't get in there. I mean, it had 10 nominations, but I was like, oh, actually, the editing of Mank, I think, is one of the things that kind of stuck out to me as like they did a really good job.
Right.
So I was surprised there, but whatever. I don't know. What's your nominee there? What do you think you go
Metal.
with? Yeah, yeah. I was happy with how many nominations Sound of Metal got. That
Sure.
that really showed up across the board in a lot of things. Costume design, we had Emma, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Mank, Mulan, and Pinocchio. I guess Emma, maybe. The period PC stuff
Usually, yeah.
probably comes out for me there. Best cinematography, Sean Bobbitt for Judas and the Black Messiah, Eric Messerschmidt for Mank, which is his first film. His first film as a cinematographer
Holy
is Mank.
cow.
That's insane. So I almost want to give it to him just for how good that was and how well done that was. Darius Wolski for News of the World, Joshua James Richards for Nomadland, and Phaedon Papamichael for Trial of the Chicago 7. So, News of the World actually had some decent cinematography as well. That was one of the things that kind of stuck out.
Yeah. I
So I'd go that or Mank maybe.
I can't believe they hired him for that production. As
Well,
high.
he had worked with what's his name, Fincher on Mindhunter, so for TV,
Okay.
and he did some really good work on Mindhunter. And but this is his first film being a official cinematographer.
Nice.
Actually, I totally sleeping on Nomadland. Actually, had some really nice cinematography. Now that you've seen it, you can comment on that. There's a lot of long tracking shots and
Agreed.
beautiful long, large vistas, wide shots.
Agreed.
Yeah.
They have the shot right zoomed in on her face, and you're not sure exactly what she's doing, and then it comes out and gives you that long shot, and it's because she's going wee wee in the woods. Amazing.
Yeah, true. But that's actually kind of a tough category. There's some good cinematography all around this year.
Sure.
This is actually one that kind of pissed me off, but I think it's because it was such a big year for documentaries. I loved so many documentaries this year, but the nominees are Collective, Crip Camp, Mole Agent, My Octopus Teacher, and Time, which I caught up on 4 of these just recently. Again, maybe if I do that separate episode, I'll review them there. Crip Camp was the only one I reviewed earlier in the year when that
Hmm.
came. But there were probably 5 other documentaries that I could have seen in this list, and I would have been just as happy because
Sure.
you're snubbing Dick Johnson is Dead, which I loved.
Right.
Time was actually probably the front runner here, probably will win. But Boy State, a lot of people love Boy State on Apple.
I did.
The Thief and the Painter I had already reviewed. Welcome to Chechnya was the one I was talking about, was shortlisted for this, and visual effects got in nowhere on either of them. 76 Days I talked about earlier with the coronavirus stuff in China. All those are great documentaries. So you could have made a 10-film best documentary, in my opinion.
Sure.
Whatever.
Agreed.
International feature, Another Round, Better Days, Collective, Man Who Sold His Skin, and Covitus Aida. I've seen 2 of these. I reviewed Another Round very heavily on the show. I think it's the favorite to win, honestly. But I have heard a lot of good things about Man Who Sold His Skin, so I might try and catch up with that. And Covadas Aida actually got a really good reviews as well, but I can't find it anywhere. I haven't been able to, I think it's only been in theaters and not released anywhere to check out. So I don't know if I'll be able to catch up with that one, but
Okay.
maybe Another Round will win because we'll talk about it in a few minutes. It got another kind of surprising nomination.
Big time.
Animated feature, Onward, Over the Moon, Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon, Soul, and Wolfwalkers. I think 3 of those we knew were going to be here. Over the Moon was back and forth. Some people said it was good, some people didn't, and I don't think it showed up at Golden Globes.
Right.
So that was a little bit of a surprise. And then Shaun the Sheep, I don't think anybody was really talking about that movie. So,
Nope.
but at the end of the day, it comes down to Soul or Wolfwalkers, I think, and Soul right now has probably the steam to win it.
Agreed all around.
Original screenplay, Judas and the Black Messiah. I'm not going to name all the names. There's a lot of names. Minari, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of Chicago 7. Whew, that's a tough category, man. I personally like giving it to Fennell for Promising Young Woman, just because I don't think she'll win anywhere else for it. So that might be where they reward this movie. But we'll see. We'll see.
I have to see Minari. Sound of Metal screenplay didn't stand out to me. And of course, you kind of have to nominate Sorkin for screenplay when he writes something. It's like it's like Streep and actress, Sorkin and screenplay kind of have to go hand in hand. But yeah, you're not wrong on Young Woman.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a tough category. Adapted screenplay. This is where Sacha Baron Cohen got one of his 2 nominations for the day on Borat subsequent movie film, which I got to say, Priyanka Chopra's Jonas, whatever, did like a great job announcing the whole title of the movie.
Yeah.
Florian Zeller for The Father, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, Kemp Powers for One Night in Miami, Ramin Barani for The White Tiger, which was a little bit of a surprise. I don't think anybody really talked about that movie either. I never saw that one. It's on Netflix with Priyanka Chopra's Jonas in it. So what are you going with here?
I kind of have a feeling Borat's going to win this, man. You just got to think about the voters, where their thoughts lie. My choice would be One Night in Miami, though.
I kind of agree with that, and I would like to see that win. Kemp Powers, especially with the year he had working on Soul as well. I've heard good things about The Father, still haven't seen it. And I think Nomadland doesn't really, I was surprised. It doesn't really have a screenplay to me. It felt kind of documentary-ish in some of it, where these non-actors are kind of riffing and telling their own stories. So I was like, how is that a screenplay? But whatever.
Agree.
Best Supporting Actress, Maria Bakalova for Borat, subsequent movie film, Glenn Close, Hillbilly Elegy, Olivia Colman, The Father, Amanda Seyfried for Mank, and Yoon Yoo-jung for Minari. She's the grandmother in the film. I was pumped to see her get nominated. That's cool. I guess Bakalova, man, but her losing at Globes makes me wonder. Are they going to get it?
I'm curious. It'd be cool to see her win. Coleman, I think, might have been a little bit surprised because we haven't heard her name a ton so far leading into this. The same with Minari. Seyfried's been named and everything, but just hasn't won. That'd be wild if Bakalova pulls us out, though.
How crazy would it be if Coleman beats Close again, or vice versa, or if Close actually pulls it out finally? This is her 8th nomination, never won.
True.
Her to finally pull it out would be interesting.
Go back in your feeds and listen to a Glenn Close spotlight. Just dropped it about a month ago.
This was a good category, but I'm calling some BS on this. But I'm happy with it, but I call BS. So Best Supporting Actor, Sacha Baron Cohen for Trial of Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya for Judas and the Black Messiah, Leslie Odom Jr. for One Night in Miami, getting his 2nd nomination of the day. Paul C. for Sound of Metal. I was like, yes! I was so pumped when I heard his name. And then Lakeith Stanfield, Judas and the Black Messiah. I love it. We were so excited. I'm sure both of us were, yes. Okay, we talked about
yes when I heard his name.
Yeah, we talked about in a review how overlooked he was, but this isn't supporting actor. No, what? How are you both in supporting actor? This is category fraud all day. But I guess they knew that's the only place they could get him in, and that's because they submit for what category they want to try for.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad he's recognized for the performance, but I don't see how you can have both of them be supporting.
Will he take away from Kaluuya? Because after the Globes, it felt like Kaluuya was the odds-on favorite. Yeah. But now, will Stanfield take away from that and let Leslie Odom sneak in there?
Yeah, and with Sacha having 2 nominations on the day, he could have had like 5. I think he was up for like possibly 5 nominations because he could have got Best Picture, but he didn't. He could have got Song, but he didn't. Like there was a couple other things he could have got in on, and he didn't acting for Borat either. So it's like he could have easily had multiple nominations on the day. I think they like him enough that they gave him 2 nominations. Could he steal it?
That'd be crazy.
Because I think they would rather reward him for Trial than for Borat, is my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Leslie, Paul, Lakeith, thanks for coming. It's good that you got nominated, and welcome to the club kind of thing. But I think it comes down to Sacha or Daniel. But hopefully it's Daniel. I would love to see that. All right. The last couple big ones here. Best Actress, Viola Davis, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Andra Day, U.S. vs. Billie Holiday, Vanessa Kirby, Pieces of a Woman, Frances McDormand, Nomadland, and Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman.
I was very happy when they said Viola's name because she's been very overlooked this whole award season. I don't think she should win, but I'm very happy she got the nom.
Well, I'll tell you, it's crazy because she has an Oscar win, but it's for supporting. So
Yeah.
I would love to see her win one for Best Actress, instead.
She's now the most nominated black actress of all time.
And she could join that group with the 2 or more club, which would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, McDormand could become a 3 or more club if she wins. Kirby, again, welcome to the club. Good nomination. The one that scares me or makes me wonder is Andra Day because she just won the Globe. It's kind of more recent. People are really high on it. Does she just swoop in out of nowhere and take this thing?
Yeah.
That could be surprising because I really like Mulligan, and I would love to see Mulligan win because I think she's due. We'll see. Best Actor, Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, Chadwick Boseman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins, The Father, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Ewan for Minari. Boseman all day. I don't see how he loses this.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Welcome. First ever Asian American actor to be Best Actor, Stephen Yeun. That's awesome.
How insane is that? And really, it's multiple because Riz Ahmed is also is he? He's not Asian. Is that considered Asian? Middle East? I don't know. But another person of color.
Is he Middle Eastern American? I mean, so I guess he might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't know the history on it. But you're right. I mean, this is Boseman's to lose. I don't think he's going to lose. And again, we've said this 10,000 times. We're going to say 10,000 more. It is not because he passed away. It is because his performance is fantastic.
Now, I will hold a little reservation until we see The Father because I heard a lot of good things about The Father and Anthony Hopkins. I mean, it could sneak up and steal it because he's never – well, he won Best Actor, but it was like 30 years ago or whatever. So it's like he could come back and win, for sure. And that was actually supporting actor. I don't think he's ever won a full Best Actor. So could be interesting. But yeah, I mean, just looking at these actors and actresses, very much more diverse than usual. Riz, Chadwick Boseman, Stephen Ewan for actor, Viola Davis, Andra Day in actress, supporting actor, Daniel Kaluuya, Leslie Odom, Lakeith Stanfield, supporting actress, Yoon Jung, Maria Bakalova, even not being American, So there's a lot more diversity in those picks this year, which is to see. I was pleased to see that. All right, last 2 big ones. Best Director, Thomas Vinterberg for another round. That was a big shock. I don't think anybody thought they were going to hear it this morning. So that also makes me believe, that's winning international film if he's getting a director nod as well.
Sure.
David Fincher for Mank, Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland, and Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman. 2 women nominated. We have only had 5 women ever nominated, period, and we had 2 today, so that's huge, as well as Chloe Zhao being the first person of color, if you will, Asian American, whatever, nominated for director. I think it's Chloe's to win just because she's been on such a high. She's winning all the precursor awards. I know early on he said, how could Fincher lose? But maybe they'll give Mank the cinematography instead of the directing. So I think it's Chloe's to win. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. She's easily the front runner. Huge surprise with Vinterberg getting in there, but I definitely think it's Chloe's to lose. After watching it last night, I agree with the nomination. I just don't know if I agree with this massive sweeping of every award that she's picked up. Just because I feel the film is,
It's a beautifully shot movie.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I just feel that movie is so much of McDermott, but she's deserving if she does get the win. My biggest thing here, I was very bummed with Regina. I wanted Regina King to get for one night. Really wanted that.
Not glad, but I was glad that Sorkin didn't get, because I just don't see Trial as a directorial. A lot of people had him in here as the other director, and I was like, no, I just don't see that. So.
Okay.
Right, last one, Best Picture. We only had 8 nominees, which I was a little surprised. I thought maybe they would give a 9 this year. Let's go to 10. I can't wait till we just go to 10 and we know we're getting 10 because there were other movies that were deserving that should have been in here.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, like I said, when we saw those early nominations, we were like, oh yeah, that's going to get there. Mank, Minari, Nomadland, Promising Young Woman, Sound of Metal, and Trial of the Chicago 7. So pretty stacked category there, but as I mentioned earlier, Defy Bloods pretty much shut out on the day. That's bullshit. And I saw already some backlash like, yeah, you were better in the actor actresses categories with diversity, but Best Picture, you didn't have Defy Bloods, you didn't have One Night in Miami, you didn't have Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So all these kind of black stories, if you will, were kept out of Best Picture. So what is
Yeah,
that? You know,
yeah,
I
yeah. I
would
was surprised you choose.
I would have loved to see One Night or Defy Bloods break in here. I think that would have been great, but
Sure. And if you were only going to give me one, I would have taken them over Judas because I didn't love that movie. I love the
agree.
performances. I definitely wanted One Night Miami to get in here for sure. And I would have taken it over that. So yeah, the Defy Bloods snub, this harkens back to we say it all the time. Was it did it just come out too early in the year? It was at a time when a lot of folks weren't even watching things, even though it hit well when it dropped because nobody was watching anything, so everyone watched it. Maybe still. Was that too long ago that came out? And that's why Judas is in here because it just dropped in December.
Yeah, a little recency bias for sure. Yeah.
I will tell you my first thought with the actor category. Sorry to cut you off there. With the actor actress category, 6 of your 10 nominees, folks, are Spotlight recipients in the past. So
Awesome.
yeah, sure. Yeah, Frances McDee, C. Mully, Viola, Chadwick, Hopkins, Oldman. They've all gotten a spotlight in the past. So I think you and I we have homework to do. We have 4 spotlights we got to do. Just on
I don't
those.
know about, is the grandma from Minari going to get her own spotlight for one movie?
We'll come back around on her. All right, so tell me some of your other snubs. Regina's my biggest one. Defy Bloods is the other one. What else are you looking at that you thought should have gotten in there?
Well, we talked about a couple as we went, but like I said, Mauritanian, Jodie or Tahar Rahim, neither of them getting in there was a little bit of surprise, especially with Jodie just winning a Globe. So, little surprise there. No Pike either. She just won, and I was kind of hoping maybe she would sneak in because I really liked her performance in the I Care a Lot. And then also Jared Leto was nominated in a couple precursors for Little Things. So I was kind of happy he didn't, just because I didn't love the movie. But that's nothing against his performance; it was decent. But I just think it was.
Yeah.
I think Lakeith stole his spot in the supporting actor. I think if they hadn't put Lakeith there, that might have been Jared Leto's.
I'm totally okay with that. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Too. So, but overall, I'm actually pretty pumped with the nominations, and it kind of backs up my own personal opinion of the year, where I loved One Night in Miami, I loved Promising Young Woman, I loved Sound of Metal, and those got a lot of nominations in here. I was a little pissed Defy Bloods, got no love, but a lot of movies that I did enjoy were up there and got a lot of nominations.
In the brief moment we've had this morning, just to look on the internets, I've saw some people upset that Hanks didn't get anything. I'm surprised. I liked both of his films, and of course Hanks is Hanks, but I never thought nomination should be out of these. But some people are upset. There's 2 possibilities for him to get it. Again, back to the did things get released too early? Ben Affleck is incredible in The Way Back. Elizabeth Moss is incredible in Invisible Man. The technical stuff in Invisible Man, I thought might get something with visual effects or something to that degree. But that stuff came out back in February, so maybe that's why we forgot about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could literally sit down right now and make our own categories of those actors, all that, and fill up with completely different names than what they gave us. And at the end of the day, if you listen to our show for the last year, yeah, we liked Mank. It was fine. We liked No Man Land. It was fine. We liked Trial of Chicago 7. It was fine. Judas and the Black Messiah was fine. Those are the movies that are getting a lot of the nominations, but they weren't our favorites of the year. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, you will be able to hear all about our favorites of the year very soon.
So here's where ratings will come into play, I think, is which of these movies do you think has a fan base that is like, yes, I want them to win? You know what I mean? I don't see The Father having that fan base. I don't think Minari has that fan base. Nomadland, again, you don't have that. Maybe Promising Young Woman has that drive. Some Trial of Chicago 7 folks out there has that drive where people want to watch this award season so they can cheer out loud when this film wins.
Yeah, there isn't a movie that does that this year because most people did not care to watch Mank, even though it got the most nominations. I feel like most people probably haven't seen Nomadland, or if they did, they're not huge champions of it where they're like, yes, it's going to win Best Picture.
Right.
Minari might have been a bigger deal if you didn't have Parasite last year winning. I feel like it kind of falls in that category of like almost an international film because it is mostly in Korean, and I think that steam has already been stolen from it.
Stolen steam.
And I don't think it's going to win either. So, I don't know. I mean, Promising Young Woman's kind of the sexy pick, I guess, of all the ones there, but I just don't see it winning at the end of the day. So, I think it comes down to those 3, either or those 2, Mank or Nomadland. Well, maybe Trial of Chicago 7, but Nomadland will win it all.
in years past, we've given you our own specialty episode just for all of you guys for our predictions. And we usually drop that right before the Oscars. And then we try and give you one like directly after the Oscars of just like specialty episodes. Sit tight. Still going to try and do those, but our schedules are a little nuts leading into that. So we will let you guys know leading into that. If we can give you that prediction episode, we will do our absolute best. I just don't want to hammer that down right now and you guys expect it. But trust us, we want to do those sort of things. But there you go, guys. We just broke down the entire 2021 Oscar nominations. April 25th is that ceremony. We are not done talking about them, and we will not be done all the way through to the end of April, all the way till May. We'll be chit-chatting about this. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back. Okay, so for Chaos Walking, bud, I went to the movies. I actually went to the theater. It was all spaced out. You know, the morning of bought the tickets. There was nobody else in the theater. When my daughter and I went, there was only 6 other people, so 8 total people in the theater. It was a larger theater, too, so we were very, very spread out. Everything about it felt good. Concessions were just, you couldn't grab, anything. They had to actually hand you one thing. Everything was gloved up, and we actually brought our own snacks anyway, so I wasn't going to mess with any of that. So everything felt good. It felt safe. Everybody was masked up. I felt comfortable, and my daughter is very, scared of the world right now type mentality to a degree. So I kept saying to her, "You good? You good? You good?" And she was good to go. We're sitting in the theater. There is literally 5 minutes left in the film. It is the climax of Chaos Walking, just at the end. And you can tell, we're at the end of the movie. And 8 people walk into the theater as if they were just showing up. And they've got their phones out. The one guy, where are we going? Where are you going? You going up there? Are we going? Okay, go up this way. Talking loudly, what have you. They walk halfway up the one aisle. The guy's like, oh, okay, we're seat H7, 6, 7, and I'm in row 8, so I'm like, are you serious? So they start to come this way, then the guy goes, no, we'll go around. So they walk down, they come back up and around, and then they sit like 3 seats down from me, just jib-jabbing, talking like it's nothing. So from behind, gives a shh. Then in front of them, the people turn, lady gives her some choice words. Can you shut the blah, blah up, right? And then they kind of pause. And now there's this pause. Well, now everyone's not watching the climax of the movie, which is probably amazing. It would have changed my review. But so I turned on, I was like, guys, I think you're in the wrong theater. And then they stopped for a second. They completely 100% thought that this was a theater. Maybe like trailers were playing, and that's why they were chit-chatting.
Early for the next showing? That early?
Something to that effect. So then 2 of them like jump up completely embarrassed. You can tell they're embarrassed, even though you can't see their faces. Scurry out. The rest of them are still sitting there like, are we sure? Is this where we're supposed to be? And then the girl in front has some more choice words, and then they get up and scurry. I was like, are you kidding me? And of course the timing, like it wasn't the middle of the movie, it was right at the climax. When I walked out, there was a worker sitting there just texting away on the phone, like out front, waiting to clean. And I did say to him, I was like, hey bud, did you notice the folks coming in? He was like, yeah. And I was like, why didn't you stop them? They were obviously going the wrong place. He was like, that's a good point. I guess I could have just told them no. I'm like, that was kind of on you, pal. You should have just been like, hey, folks, you're going to the wrong theater.
Acting industry, how about you focus on making it a good experience as you can?
This is your job. Anyway, so a funny little niche that we'll always remember. Yeah. Hollywood news time.
All righty. One of the big stories from the weekend, I thought at least, kind of fun, was Avatar takes over the top box office of all time again from Endgame. They re-released it for the weekend in China, and it made $3.5 million. So now it's at $2.8 billion, putting it ahead of Endgame. Is this what we're destined to talk about for the next 20 years? Is just this? They're going to go back and forth, re-release. This is the best. This is the best.
I haven't. That's weird because I have unrelated in other news. They've just announced they're releasing Endgame to the theaters and IMAX stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But they will be, right? That's exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I like how now they have like a Endgame tweeted like something. Hey, congrats on taking it. Right. And then Avatar folks tweeted back, James. Hey, thanks. We have the one graphic though. The art. Did you see the art? It was the Avengers logo, but it was being snapped away into Avatar's logo. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool art.
You know what the best part about it is? At the end of the day, all that money goes in the same pocket because it's all Disney.
That's true. Yeah. So it's always held on us.
Yeah. All right. Steven Spielberg is directing a movie about his own life. Did you see this?
Wait, about himself?
Yes. He's turning 75, I guess, this year, and he decided this is a good time to direct a movie about his life. So he is directing that movie about it, and I think it's supposed to focus on his childhood, and he's already had Michelle Williams cast to play his mother. Yeah,
All right.
interesting. All right. Michelle Williams will be his mom, and he's casting children of various ages to play him throughout his childhood. So,
All right. Okay. Madonna's making her own movie about herself, and now Spielberg about himself. All right.
we read some of the Dan Brown books. Dan Brown's
Yeah.
Langdon is going to be
Yeah.
picked up to series now at Peacock. So if you want to watch it, you got to get the Peacock.
I have
It
it.
was produced by CBS, but then it was supposed to go to NBC, but now they're just putting it on the Peacock. So, and this is actually based on the other book, the only other book that wasn't made into a movie, Lost Symbol. So, which is actually the third in the series, and they just skipped it and
They
made
skipped
it
it.
Inferno instead, right? Which I
Yeah.
actually prefer Lost Symbol because that one was the one that took place in DC.
In the Capitol.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably try and watch that, but I don't have the Peacock. We'll see.
But Hanks is not involved in any, right? Because he's younger.
Oh,
This is
no.
when Langdon is younger,
Yeah,
right?
this is totally different thing and just for TV instead. So,
Right. Right. Okay.
yep. Evil Dead 4 has officially been announced. It's going to be called Evil Dead Rise. It's going to be filming soon in New Zealand. Bruce Campbell has confirmed that. He's co-producing the film. No, he wasn't in the last one that was made. That was like a remake reboot. He kind of showed up as a cameo, so people are like, oh, is he going to be in this one? I don't know. Not a lot of details yet, but we are getting another Evil Dead Rise. Disney Plus is officially over 100 million subscribers now in less than 18 months. I think it was like 16 months and some change.
Wow.
That's insane. They predicted originally to hit between 60 and 90 by 2024. So they're way ahead of pace as far as the popularity of their service. And they also announced they're targeting 100 new titles every year on their service between all the different things, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney Channel, Nat Geo, all those different properties that fall under that umbrella. They want 100 new titles per year. I mean, that's 2 a week. You're getting 2 new things a week. That's pretty on pace with what Netflix is doing. So
Yeah.
they're churning it out, man. Good for them.
That keeps our podcast alive, baby.
Speaking with Netflix here, they actually made a couple big acquisitions this week. There's a thing called the European film market, and they had a meeting last week where they kind of put properties up, and then people make bids on what they want to buy, whatever. So Netflix bought Pale Blue Eyes. They paid $55 million for this, and this is directed by Scott Cooper, starring Christian Bale. They worked together before on Hostiles and Out of the Furnace. Christian Bale is going to be playing a detective who's investigating murders at West Point in 1830. And he's helped by a young cadet who ends up being Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh.
And this is based on a book. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'll check out the book before the movie comes out. That might be a cool thing. We'll see. A couple other acquisitions they made, $30 million for a movie called Monkey Man, which is Dev Patel's directorial debut. He also co-wrote it and stars in it, and it's described as John Wick in Mumbai. So
Okay.
that could be fun. Look forward to that. And then they also paid $18 million for a Liam Neeson, Lawrence Fishburne movie called Ice Road. And I'm pretty sure Liam Neeson has some kind of set of skills or whatever. So. Eddie Murphy gave an interview recently where he said that they are already working on an idea for Coming to America 3, or Coming 3 America, whatever he's going to call it. However, I didn't notice this till I read the article. He said he wants it to be about 15 years in the future. So he is older and he's like 75 or so for the role. But he doesn't do it through like de-aging and stuff. So he's like, maybe we'll just wait another 15 years. but I do have an idea to make a third one like that he wants to do. So interesting.
All right. Okay.
HBO is producing a 2-part documentary on Paul Rubens. You may know him as Pee Wee Herman. With the Safdie brothers are producing it. So that's interesting. Wow. A lot of people don't know he actually kind of started his career with HBO. Like they did the first version of Pee Wee's Big Playhouse on TV was through HBO before it became like a kids thing. So because he started out doing it as like a live show in comedy clubs and stuff in the 80s, and then it kind of evolved into what it was. So it's cool that it's kind of coming full circle for his career. Elizabeth Banks is also in the news. She's directing Cocaine Bear, and this is based on true events that took place in Kentucky in 1985, where a 175-pound black bear found a bag of drugs in the woods that had fallen from a plane and got high and overdosed and died.
Oh, no.
So, okay. Yeah, I think that's all my news for today, though.
That took a turn. Did you see Rob Zombie with the Munsters?
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, that's interesting.
Rob Zombie's going to direct the Munsters, but it's a film, right?
Because he is not family friendly at all. So,
yeah,
going to like tone it down, or is it going to be crazy redneck murderous monsters?
That'd be wild. Rumor that Mission Impossible 7 will be bringing back Chimera.
Okay.
The poison in part 2 that was going to drug everybody, and the one that everyone doesn't like.
You connect to part 2 when it was the worst movie.
Exactly. Why do it? And I don't know if they're doing that to a virus that affects everybody is kind of popular right now. Not the right word, but
Yeah, that's true too. Didn't I hear that they're not doing 8 back to back now like they originally planned also?
oh, really?
Well, I thought there was like delays in the production because of COVID, and then they decided to scrap going ahead with 8 because I think Tom Cruise has to do something else, another project that he committed to, so they're gonna have to like come back around to 8 now.
Gotcha. Is that the one where he goes to space, right?
Who
The other
knows?
project where he's supposed to film in space.
I don't know at this point.
All right, good news for Thanksgiving 2022 is that Creed 3 officially has its release date. It'll be Thanksgiving weekend of 2022. And then I mentioned Oscars. They did announce earlier today, or that Chopra and Jonas Chopra announced that it will take place in the Dolby Theater, but then also in Union Station, which normally is shut down underneath the Dolby Theater as a big hub. That just gets shut down and closed during that time because they need all the celebs there and they don't want the hobos on the street walking by. Well, now they're going to use that space and try and space it out. So maybe that's in response a wee bit to last night and trying to, I don't know.
I feel like the Grammys doing that little bit outside stuff actually seemed to work really well. So maybe they should look into something like that. But then you're also victim to weather. Like what if something happens, big storm or whatever? So they might have to have backup plans, upon backup plans. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like that, they would have to shut that whole Hollywood Boulevard down. You know what I mean? Which wouldn't be the worst idea. Like, hey, it's the Oscars. It's our biggest night. Let's make a big to-do and just put space things out. Maybe they could go that route. But
sure. And they have the Staples Center. Like that's a big, right there too. So.
Yeah. If they want to move away from the Dolby Theater, sure, that's also an option. All right, we are done with Hollywood news. Now it's time to move on to DC discussion.
DC, I had a couple things. Did you see that there was a early leak of Snyder Cut?
I did, and I immediately checked my HBO Max. I didn't get it.
So apparently the cat was out of the bag, pun intended, because if you tried to watch Tom and Jerry for a few hours on March 8th, you were able to get a first hour. I think it was only 1 hour of the footage was what I read that was available, and it was only a certain number of people were actually able to do it, and kind of most, I think, were like, oh, this is what we wanted to watch, and clicked out of it and didn't really watch it anyways, but kind of fun that was leaked early on the Tom and Jerry. I saw some fun, there was some fun things on Instagram and Twitter, like pictures of that, I think, of Tom and Jerry in the
as Batman. Yeah.
Kiersey Clemons has been cast to be back in the Flash movie. That's awesome. We saw her in the trailer for the Zack Snyder. So a lot of Zack Snyder fans were like, yeah, does that mean we're continuing on with what he did? Whatever. But
we shall see. I did like the people that were like, she was never uncast. This is bad headline, clickbaiting, and yes, all true. But let's just give her an extra.
Cast in the Flash though? I don't think that was ever official. Was it?
For the Flashpoint?
Yeah, she's officially for that movie now. I know she was supposed to be in Justice League, but I don't know that she was officially for Flash. So
either way, she's in it.
Sticking with that movie and casting, Maribel Verdú has been cast as Barry's mom in the movie. She was in Pan's Labyrinth, a couple other things. But they did lose Billy Crudup. Billy Crudup had to pull out because of filming Morning Show for Apple. So that sucks for that scheduling conflict there. But this is Flashpoint, so maybe he saves his mom, and we don't even need, Henry Allen in the movie or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Maybe she'll play a bigger part, I guess, is what I'm saying. So that was it. Did you see anything else DC related?
Only that the Batman has wrapped, baby. Yes. Done filming, ready to post-production.
Don't we still?
Yeah, because as of last week, we were within a year, so now we're within a year and a week. But let's go. It's done, it's wrapped, it's done, but yeah, we do have to wait a whole another year for it. But
I'm so excited for that one. I love the Batman.
I'm ready. I'm very intrigued to see how Pattinson plays that out and where we go from there. Now, let me ask you this question.
Ask away.
Obviously, we're going to be talking in a little bit going forward, but since we're in DC, I sent my email in to try and get in this watch party, the Zack Snyder watch party for Thursday, and I got in.
Really?
But it's through this Scener app. Or Scener online. You go to Scener.com, and then it's like a virtual movie theater. Something we should probably explore where we could do it with our listeners to watch a movie together. So I'm excited because Zack Snyder's supposed to be a part of it, and everyone's supposed to watch together. But I don't want to watch it on my laptop.
Yeah, and with people chit-chatting and
Oh, I'll be
For
furious. Oh yeah, I'll be furious if someone.
it's 4 freaking hours.
Yeah, so I like got excited for getting in, and then I was like, oh man, I don't want to watch on my laptop. I guess I could cast it to my TV, but
Watch it on my phone. Spoiler alert. So it's gonna be. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't have 4 hours to sit in front of a TV. Are you kidding me?
all right, on to the Marvel minute.
We didn't really have anything news related for Marvel, but we did get a chance to catch up with the Marvel Assembled, I think it was called, on Disney Plus, and that's the making of WandaVision, which it was just a one episode, almost an hour long though, probably 45, 50 minutes long, whatever.
Hmm.
It was good. It was good. Maybe not as in depth as your Mandalorian. I really love that Mandalorian season one, how they dissected every episode. I thought that was great. This one is similar to what they did in Mandalorian season two, just like we'll give you one kind of look at the whole season overall.
Right.
I was most taken aback by the amount of detail that went into the producing of the sitcoms. Like that was a big part of what they showed was how much they did with the live audience there to tape, and just the amount of detail they went into with the wire work and the costuming and all that stuff to
Yeah.
make it really authentic. And I didn't know that they brought in Dick Van Dyke as like a consultant. I was like,
Right.
what?
They had
That's
to have a
crazy.
lunch with Dick Van Dyke. That's insane.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, Disney Plus, you've screwed yourselves because now I expect these
Yes.
after every season of Mandalorian, after every one of these Disney, because I love them. I really do. This
There better be one for Falcon and Winter Soldier in a couple weeks.
100%. And
Yep.
I'm gonna riot if you don't have one now going after because they're a lot of fun. I enjoyed seeing Blue Vision, and they had to
Oh,
do
yeah.
his makeup as blue because it showed up better on the black and white when they were doing the black and white episodes. They showed the evolution of he actually had to wear like a headpiece during Age of Ultron to cover his ears, but then in this, the CGI has advanced in those few years where like his ears were shown, which was weird. It's like all purple and then just regular white guy ears like poking out. That was kind of neat. Like you said, the wires was fun. It was cool to see Elizabeth Olsen get in there and and she was talking, she was like, I grew up on a sitcom set, but I'd never done sitcom.
Yeah.
So this is like fun. And even Bettany too. He was like, I haven't performed in front of a person in
Yeah.
forever. And now you're throwing me in front of this live studio audience. So it was daunting.
Matt Shackman too, the director, grew up on the set of worked on these shows, Growing Pains, Family Ties, things like that. I think I listened to another interview I think he did with Fat Man Beyond where he talked about the
Yes.
boner joke was kind of from him being on like Family Ties or whatever, So
100%. Yeah. It was good. I really enjoyed it. It's on Disney Plus right now, guys. Avengers Assembled is what it's called.
not
Check it out.
Avengers, I think it's just Marvels Assembled.
Oh, it's not Avengers Assembled.
No, I think it was just called Marvels Assembled.
The word Avenger is not in front of the word assembled at all times because that's how I read it.
Nope, nope.
No? All right, we're done. Time to go forward.
All right, going forward this week, not a ton of stuff. There's actually 3 new releases in the theaters, which is kind of fun. Not big movies, but stuff that we're kind of moderately interested in. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, and this is the new Nick Cage movie. Nick Cage and Pedro Pascal, and this is the one where it's kind of meta, and he's supposed to be trying to get cast in a Quentin Tarantino movie or something like that. And it sounds really interesting, and that's kind of why I put him on our schedule for Spotlight, is because I knew he had a new movie coming out. So we'll see if we can catch up with that at some point in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure if these are theatrical and POVOD same day, or if they're going to be a little period of waiting, whatever.
Sure.
We also have City of Lies with Johnny Depp, and this is focusing on the Tupac and Biggie murder case.
Oh,
Saw a trailer on it. It looks okay, whatever. And then Courier. I noticed they were showing some commercials for this over the weekend with Benedict Cumberbatch.
it looked
So
good.
that one's also coming to the theater.
It looked actiony, a little James Bondy.
Yeah.
I was intrigued. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all 3 of those movies look like, okay, we'd probably watch that and maybe review it for the show at some point. So look out for those maybe down the road. Otherwise, the 2 big releases of the week, we already talked about the one, Zack Snyder's Justice League, HBO Max. I have
Thursday.
to find 4 hours this week to try and watch that to talk about it next week. So hopefully I can get through it. Then we're also getting Falcon and Winter Soldier on the 19th on Disney Plus, episode 1. I think it's going to be 6. Is that correct? 6 episodes?
Sounds right. Yeah. Yeah.
A couple other smaller things releasing. Genius, the Aretha Franklin season of Genius with Cynthia Erivo. That's finally coming out. That was supposed to come out when we originally did her Spotlight, but it got pushed back. So now it is releasing on Nat Geo. So that's cool.
Okay.
Let's see what she does there. And then there's something coming out on Netflix this week called Operation Varsity Blues, and it's a documentary about that college scandal, the college admissions scandal.
Oh, okay.
So let's check that out. We'll see.
Gotcha.
That's all I really saw for going forward. Not a ton of stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, a couple of the big hitters in the comic book stuff, but otherwise, yeah. I do want to watch that Courier.
I was going to say we will definitely have Falcon and Winter Soldier and Justice League next week. So it'll be a little DC versus Marvel review session next week.
Don't forget, folks, Take Two podcast-wise, the poll drops on Thursday as well. So take a quick second before you push play on that 4-hour movie you got to watch and vote on the poll. Share that. Tell your pals about it to vote on the Take Two podcast poll throughout the weekend. Friday, you're getting a brand new Patreon dropped for you guys. This is the best of 2020. Yeah, that's right. The best of what happened last year. And believe it or not, there was a lot of good things that actually happened on your television or telephone screens. And Tony and I broke it all down, and that's going to drop Friday, but only if you're a Patreon subscriber, as low as $1 a month. Take Two Podcast, or excuse me, patreon.com, Take Two Podcast. Sign up today for that.
Yeah,
Then,
and we stayed pretty positive on that, and just reviewed our favorite films and TV of the year. Pretty positive take. And we just waited 2 months like the Oscars did. That's all.
Yeah, that's it. But in good reason, because some of those films got delayed, to when we were actually able to see them and what have you. And you're absolutely right. We didn't even list like a bottom 5 or anything. We just really kind of stayed high. This weekend, you do get a brand new Take Two Spotlight out, and we mentioned this actor a little bit ago in the news section. So we hope you guys enjoy that one. And the only other last thing for me, Wednesdays, happy St. Pat's.
There you go. Yeah, I actually had to make a leprechaun trap before I got on with you. That was part of what I was doing that delayed us starting the show today. So.
Well, best of luck in catching that leprechaun, sir.
Sure.
And Tony will give you your, I will give you my yearly St. Patrick's Day PSA. It is Patty, not Patty. It's with the D's is how you properly say that, folks. And Tony will give you the proper way to pronounce a certain beer is...
What was it? Schmiddix?
Yes, Smithwick's. Not Smithwick's.
Not Smithwick's, yeah.
No, sir. Smithwick's. Nailed it every time.
Yeah.
All right, for episode 231. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.